Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. So I just wanted to do this video with regards and thoughts of the Harvey Weinstein mandate, or as I would say in German, Harvey Weinstein. So it's obviously pretty clear on who he is, if you know who he is, and things that he's done over the last many decades. And I remember at Christmas time, I was randomly online and I just saw a news article about him and how he had the potential of getting, I don't know if the word was like acquitted or just getting let go of all of these charges that were against him. There were some allegations apparently against him, like such as some woman claimed that he said that he would mutilate her vagina if she did not comply to the request that he was asking. And so, there's his scumbag lawyer was trying to get him a fair and just trial. Anyways, my point of this video is just to kind of share and reflect some thoughts regarding how disgusting Hollywood is, as well as the Harvey Weinstein mandate that a lot of people probably don't think about. I do believe in the law of attraction. I think it has its merits. I always think there's some exceptions to these rules, but if you start to look at the law of attraction and who has chosen what side over the last couple of years, it's pretty clear that you see a general consensus that kind of spiritual, religious, God-focused people have chosen one side of the spectrum, like not getting the shot, not complying to mandates, being part of the consciousness of the age of Aquarius, that is the part of the rebellion consciousness that is going against the grain or against the status quo, against the establishment, let's put it that way. And then you have the other side of the spectrum, which is primarily the more scientific-minded, atheist, you could say godless type of individual, or just the people who believe in science so much that it is their religion, and they are just so dogmatic in their own mindset that only this physical evidential thing that you can see and quantify is the truth. And when you have people like this, generally you tend to start to see that they're a little bit more linked up to the material world. They're a little bit more materialists. They have complied because of emotional manipulation to all of these mandates that have happened over the last couple of years. They are the ones who are still living a COVID lifestyle, although those mandates have been lifted by local and state governments pretty much across the board of the 50 states in this country. So you have these two sides of the coin, right? And hardcore religious people and hardcore atheists are that mirror to one another. A lot of them can be so hard-lined, fixed in their opinion and in their belief system that they can become very judgmental. They can start projecting. They think they're right, everybody else is wrong, and it's only one way. And generally the truth tends to lie in the middle, and it's kind of like a mix of both sides. So I've noticed, because I live in the Northwest, that a lot of the people who are over here, a little bit more atheist, a little more materialist, are pop culture junkies. They believe in celebrities. They think Madonna is this great advocate for women's liberation. And when we dive deeper into the thoughts of liberation, what is being either liberal or what is liberation? This side of the coin here, the more spiritual individual, believes that liberation is most likely probably spiritual growth and evolvement. That is exactly what I've done in my own life when I did yoga in India, as well as like hiked the Camino. It was like letting go of all of this pain and suffering from the earth plane, or just letting go of all the trauma, wounds, letting go of the material world and finding this joy and happiness with myself and spirit, God, living a more minimalist lifestyle. To where on the other side of the spectrum, you have kind of that liberal party of people are more flesh and blood liberation. So for example, they tend to choose that liberation comes through experimentation, through drugs and sex. Let's put it that way. Like, you could be a strong, independent woman and sleep with whoever you want, you know, putting up this hardcore facade like you have a hard shell, but completely neglecting, you know, that voice inside your head that's severely depressed. You know, a lot of people tend to experiment with drugs to try to liberate themselves against any sort of modern, traditional thing that we've ever had in this society. So if you think about liberation from that perspective, it's really interesting. So when you have these pop culture junkies who are a little bit more atheistic, a little more materialist, these are the same people who are calling the people who believe in God delusional. However, these people over here believe in celebrities, believe celebrities have their best intentions, advocate for celebrities, advocate for the establishment, which half of these fucking celebrities, especially if they're a woman, have been under the Harvey Weinstein mandate for decades. What is the Harvey Weinstein mandate? The Harvey Weinstein mandate is you don't have to have sex with me, but if you don't have sex with me, you won't get the job. You won't become the lead actress. You won't get the role. You won't get to have your glorious picture on a billboard because you won't be famous if you don't do what I say. So if you start putting the pieces together and start analyzing the two sides of the coin, you start to see that these people are actually the delusional ones because they are deluded by a fake false reality that is projected to them from the fake false establishment through, you know, how the fuck can you believe in, sorry for my French, but like, I just, in my head, like, even when I was younger, I was like, how can you even believe in celebrities? Like, they're paid actors. That's the presentation they give on screen is not who they really are in real life. How many times does an actor or an actress get a certain role because they become famous, say through like a television show or a movie, and they can't get out of that type of role because society has linked a projection to that image? Something is like in Mad Men, Donald Draper, you know, seeing that type of actor as kind of like a soft, really, you know, cozy little dad that's trying to raise a family. You know, you don't really get those things. Or I'm trying to think of, is it Jessica McCarthy? Kind of the bigger lady. She's really funny. She kind of ends up in all these stupid humorous roles because that's just what we've had. Or like if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, the one actor, the younger one, who I don't even know his name, it's like he you know, he was the heroin junkie that worked with the older guy to sell the meth. And so you kind of just have this link that this kid has a role as an actor of being like a druggie, a junkie, or, you know, something like that. So if you start thinking about these things, first of all, screw the Harvey Weinstein mandate. Like, you know, this is what the whole point of like Me Too, and that's the part of like the liberation that has been happening. It's like all these weights and chains that have been hanging on to these women who have been completely abused by an industry that is based on disgusting satanic acts. And they have to put on that facade and that fake little mask to present this stuff to the world because they chose to sell themselves. They've chosen to sell their souls. And, you know, the deeper and deeper you go down that rabbit hole, the worse that it gets. So when you understand the Harvey Weinstein mandate and you understand the reality and fake reality that is projected, the one thing you have to understand is when you really dive deep into understanding the signs of the zodiac, things start to become very clear. The Piscean energy, or the sign of Pisces, actually rules money and it rules art and movies. So isn't it interesting that the establishment, which is Piscean energy in general, has created a fake delusional reality to a bunch of people that have been brainwashed by all of this stuff. And they think that the people who are trying to seek the truth are the delusional ones, when really they've been so deluded, they can't even fathom anything that's beyond them, because when you're atheist and you don't have any other belief, all you believe is in the material realm, or you just only believe in yourself. There's nothing higher. There is no hope. When you lose hope and faith, you lose a lot of things, because you just kind of, become complacent by it. It's like the same in divorce. I've seen so many people who've gotten divorced. They don't necessarily heal from it. They move on, but they're like, I don't ever want to get married again. I don't want to, it's because they have this attachment to a wound that has not been healed. And they tend to not want to grow themselves. They kind of stay stuck in this, circle of thing of whatever they're in. So that blows my mind, and it's just fascinating to me when I see this. It's like, oh my God, for some odd reason, a lot of people in this progressive culture of politics believe in celebrities and believe in people who have been fucking abused by the Harvey Weinstein mandate. My God. Anyways, so what I want to share is just, I, my whole life, have been a truth seeker. I've predominantly found myself through very non-traditional means and ways. A lot of it has occurred through traveling, picking up pieces of myself around the globe. And I remember just a few years ago when I was single, this was probably 2017, 18 at this point. So I was pretty much like full on being single, divorced. Well, I technically was divorced in 2018. Yeah. So anywho, I worked at a gym. It was owned by a gay guy, and a gay guy worked at a gym. So this gay guy used to be, who I got friendly with, I guess you would say, or became friends with. We just started sharing all these stories. And he said, before the 2016 election, he was super liberal. And then all of a sudden, he just his mind just opened up in 2017. And I was like, well, maybe I should start hearing the other side. And when he started hearing the other side, he started realizing how his own party of people were absolutely nuts. And how, he basically got shunned and sheltered out of a lot of his own LGBT community because he started to see things differently. Now, his foundation comes from Alaska, and he was raised predominantly Christian. If you know anything about Alaska, it's predominantly conservative Christian. So he might already have that root and foundation within him. He does believe in, love. He does believe in Jesus, but he just doesn't believe in a lot of the promiscuity. So his younger cousin, who's 18 years old, who is also gay, but identified as Christian, raised in a Christian household, came to Seattle a few years ago to try out for, I think it was American Idol, or it was the other singing show that I don't know what the name is. And he did really well, and he got the opportunity to potentially advance to Los Angeles, to kind of like the second round. So moving on from this regional area of Seattle to Los Angeles. So I guess at his interview time, he tried out, he went into a back room. There, I think, were several men in that room. They locked the door, and they just told him how great of a job he did singing, and they think he would do really well in Los Angeles. However, in order to get ahead in the industry, you have to do certain things. That's exactly what they said. They just said, if you really want to get ahead, you have to do certain things. Basically, they wanted to test him to see if he would give grown men, this is an 18-year-old boy, grown men a blowjob in the back room in order to progress and advance to Los Angeles. Because of his Christian identity, and probably I'm just going to assume that he was raised in a little bit more of a conservative Alaskan household, that was against his morals. And he did not do that, and he went home. If you think about this happening to just some random person, I just remember at the time in 2018, I was like, tell me the truth, tell me these things. And And that story kind of popped up within a week. And that at the time, I don't remember when the Me Too thing came out, but that just started to solidify like how disgusting Hollywood was. And, you know, this was also at this point 3-4 years ago. So think about how much we've learned and discovered in the last 2 years during this kind of, you know, COVID time period. So I don't really know where I'm going with this, but, you know, it's just these bits of truths keep coming out. And think about how many people, I don't know if they do this to a lot of people. I don't know if they target certain individuals. You know, the whole narcissistic psychopath and empath type of person, you never know if these are more strong-willed human beings, not strong-willed, I'm sorry, like just more animalistic type of humans that are trying to prey on some of the weaker ones. Like maybe they don't test this with all people, but that story was, when he was telling me that, it really disgusted me. It disgusted him as well, which I think was part of his like mental switch to leave his old frame of thinking when that happened to his own family member. And so I think there was something recently that just came out about all of the Disney kids that have left, or, you know, after Disney, they just became like hooked up to like drugs and alcohol. Like, if something like that happened to some innocent 18-year-old kid from Alaska trying out for a singing show, what do you think is actually happening to young teenagers and kids who are actually celebrities for Disney? If you know anything about Disney, it's a disgusting agency. It's a land of illusions, and and the delusional ones are supporting this. It's hard because it's like sometimes selling vintage items. Like I don't buy any of the pop culture stuff, but it's like I just remember being a kid and just liking things like the Care Bears, you know, and you just run across some of these things, or you see little God, I can't even think, not Popeye, these little bear ball things. I can't even think. You kind of rolled them in a ball and then you rolled them out and they were a bear. I don't know. It's sad seeing that, because it's like all this innocent stuff that we thought of like 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago is now just coming to light, and it's just so disgusting. So I just wanted to share that story because, you know, it's interesting. Like some people want their kid to be famous, but do they actually really realize like what type of stuff happens to these kids? Like, I don't know if this happens to all kids or just a select few, the ones that really get famous. If you're kind of like a side actress, you have like, you know, you pop in once every 10 episodes, you know, that type of stuff. I don't know, but yeah, anyways, think about this. I would love to hear your thoughts because it's super fascinating. I mean, we really are in two different realities here. I think if you watch TV, you should really watch it with an analytical, critical mind. You should not get your emotions tied into that. That's where I think a lot of people have gotten very deluded from the television. They don't have any concept of history, in the sense that like maybe just we've learned from history and we're at a better stage. I think that's maybe where a lot of these people's mindset are. Like I've had people yell at me about alternative media and stuff like that being all this fake news, and I should watch the real news because that's what's telling the truth out there. Completely disregarding that, you know, assholes like Ray Kroc, who created McDonald's. His wife is like, you know, Ray Kroc was like a Nixon person. He was disgusting, a disgusting human being on all different levels. You can read about him on the internet. He built an industry, a satanic type of fucking fast food culture that is disgusting for your health, abusive to animals. And his former, second wife, I think. He had an original wife, and then he left his wife for a lady. I think her name was Joan Kroc. She's one of the biggest donators to NPR. Like, I can maybe get it on some logical level. Like, oh, maybe, you know, her excuse was like, oh, it's for independent freedom of journalism. You know, whatever. So done listening to all these bullshit excuses when it's nothing but, you know, the largest corporations and billionaires that have been the funders of majority of these things and trying to wrap it in a nice benevolent package. Like, this is for free speech. It's, you know, that just doesn't work for me anymore. So yeah, anyways, Harvey Weinstein mandate is no good. And the people who believe in and complied to all these mandates the last 2 years are also a lot of the ones that believe in the Harvey Weinstein mandate because they believe in the people who were underneath this mandate in order to have a job and to be famous. So think about it. All right, have a great one. Bye-bye.